back to our channel on this beautiful day, where the dramatic events of Genoa always amaze and captivate us. We reveal the tense developments between Phyllis and Victor in their search for Matt, and Phyllis's plot to rebel against Newman. We are thrilled to bring you the most in-depth and detailed analysis of the lives of your favorite characters. We unravel the webs of lies, power, and survival that are shaking the very foundations of the city. The public spectacle of Phyllis Summers tearing through the upscale corridors of the Genoa City Athletic Club has become a familiar, almost expected performance for the residents of this turbulent town. Her frantic energy, the desperate pitch of her voice as she corners Adam Newman, and her relentless, fiery accusations against the entire Newman family regarding the sudden disappearance of Matt Clark paint a picture of a woman pushed to the absolute brink of emotional collapse. She demands answers, her eyes blazing with a mixture of terror and righteous fury, loudly proclaiming that Victor Newman has orchestrated a sinister plot to eliminate the man she has surprisingly come to love. To the outside observer, and especially to the wary members of the Newman clan who have endured her wrath for decades, Phyllis appears to be spiraling out of control, consumed by a toxic cocktail of grief, paranoia, and a desperate need for vindication. Her public interrogations are relentless, designed to draw maximum attention and create an atmosphere of chaotic urgency that leaves everyone around her feeling off balance and defensive. However, behind the closed doors of her private sanctuary, the frantic, emotionally shattered woman vanishes, replaced by a cold, calculating architect of deception. The tears and the screaming are nothing more than a meticulously orchestrated theatrical performance, a brilliant smokescreen designed to blind Genoa City to the terrifying truth of her current agenda. Phyllis Summers is not actually angry about Matt Clark's disappearance, nor is she in the dark about his current whereabouts. Her public rage is a vital component of a highly classified, incredibly dangerous dual plan that she has secretly forged with the most unlikely of allies. In a twist that defies decades of bitter, often violent history, Phyllis has aligned herself with the ruthless patriarch himself, Victor Newman. This unholy alliance, born not of trust but of ultimate strategic necessity, requires Phyllis to play the role of the hysterical, grieving lover to absolute perfection, ensuring that no one, not even her own children, or Victor's highly perceptive offspring, suspects the monumental conspiracy unfolding in the shadows. The truth behind Matt Clark's sudden vanishing act is far more complex and strategically devious than a simple act of Newman vengeance. Victor did not arrange for Matt to be locked away in a maximum security psychiatric facility as a punitive measure for breaking their previous fragile agreements. Instead, this institutionalization is a highly sophisticated form of protective custody, a calculated maneuver to remove Matt from the immediate crosshairs of a dangerous, mutual enemy while simultaneously positioning him as a lethal pawn on Victor's grand corporate chessboard. By incarcerating Matt under the guise of a mental health crisis, Victor has effectively shielded him from external threats, utilizing the impenetrable walls of the psychiatric hold as a fortress. This allows Victor to control Matt's environment completely, keeping him on ice until the precise moment his specific, dark talents are required to execute a devastating strike against a major rival. The target of this grand, overarching conspiracy remains shrouded in the highest levels of corporate secrecy, but the shifting tectonic plates of Genoa City's business landscape point toward two massive entities, Chancellor Winters and Jabot, with Billy Abbott currently descending into a paranoid, erratic crusade to seize control of Chancellor Industries, and Jack Abbott deeply distracted by the haunting emergence of a John Abbott doppelganger and the lingering trauma of Diane's recent hostage situation. Both empires are uniquely vulnerable to a coordinated, unseen attack. Victor Newman, ever the apex predator, recognizes that a direct assault might rally his enemies together. Therefore, utilizing a wildcard like Matt Clark, a man with a history of unpredictable violence and deep-seated grudges, allows Victor to orchestrate chaos from a safe distance, maintaining total plausible deniability while his adversaries are systematically dismantled from within. Phyllis's role in this elaborate cover-up is a testament to her genius for psychological manipulation. She intuitively understands that her reputation as a volatile, emotionally driven woman is her greatest weapon in this scenario. By leaning into the caricature that Genoa City has constructed of her, she weaponizes her own history of instability. When she screams at Adam or hurls accusations at Victor in crowded restaurants, people do not look for a hidden agenda. They simply see Phyllis being Phyllis. This brilliant misdirection ensures that the local authorities, the media, and the rival corporate factions remain entirely focused on the interpersonal drama, completely oblivious to the fact that Victor is quietly arming a ticking time bomb inside a psychiatric ward, ready to deploy it against their empires. Her fake outrage provides the ultimate camouflage for Victor's machinations, proving that when Phyllis Summers decides to play the game, she plays to win, regardless of the emotional cost. Meanwhile, within the sterile, oppressive confines of the maximum security psychiatric facility, the atmosphere is suffocatingly tense. The fluorescent lights hum with a maddening consistency, casting long, harsh shadows across the linoleum floors. Matt Clark, a man who has spent his entire life navigating the treacherous underbelly of society, now finds himself caged in a clinical purgatory. Initially, the shock of his sudden incarceration left him disoriented, but as the days bleed together, the cold reality of Victor's grand design begins to dawn on him. He realizes that he is not a patient, but a prisoner of war, a strategic asset being held in reserve. The realization that he is being used as a pawn by the very man who promised him a degree of freedom ignites a slow-burning, toxic resentment within his chest. The sterile environment, designed to soothe the disturbed, instead acts as an incubator for his darkest, most suppressed instincts. Complicating this volatile situation is the presence of another deeply disturbed resident within the facility, the infamous Patty Williams. Patty, whose shattered mind has historically been a source of immense tragedy for the Abbott family, particularly her violent obsession with Jack and her recent psychological torture of Diane Jenkins, represents a terrifying variable in Victor's controlled equation. Her madness is not a dull, sedated fog, but a sharp, cunning lunacy that allows her to perceive the darkness in others. When Patty's path crosses with Matt Clark's within the heavily monitored common areas, an unspoken, horrifying recognition passes between them. They are two monsters recognizing the same predatory hunger in each other's eyes, two outcasts who have been locked away by a society that fears the chaos they represent. This unexpected proximity rapidly evolves into a symbiotic, highly dangerous alliance. Patty, possessing an intimate knowledge of the facility's routines, security blind spots, and the psychological weaknesses of the staff from her previous stints in institutional care, provides the tactical layout necessary for a potential breach. Matt, armed with a cold, calculating intellect and a ruthless capacity for violence, provides the strategic execution. Together, they begin to meticulously architect a master plan for escape. Their whispered conversations in the corners of the recreation room are not the ramblings of the insane, but the focused, deadly plotting of two apex predators preparing to break their chains. The alliance is mutually beneficial. Patty desires the freedom to resume her terrifying fixation on Jack Abbott, while Matt seeks to reclaim his agency and exact a bloody vengeance on those who dared to put him in a cage. As the blueprint for their breakout solidifies, the psychological toll of the environment begins to manifest in Matt's demeanor. Before his disappearance, Matt had been making genuine, albeit fragile, attempts to suppress his sinister nature, motivated by his burgeoning feelings for Phyllis and a desperate desire to prove he could be more than just a villain. However, the isolation of the psychiatric hold, combined with the intoxicating proximity to Patty's unadulterated madness, begins to chip away at his newly constructed moral compass. The mask of redemption he had worn so carefully starts to slip, revealing the cold, sociopathic core that has always defined his true identity. The darkness he fought to bury is resurrecting, fueled by a potent mixture of betrayal, confinement, and the thrilling anticipation of impending violence. If this entire ordeal shakes something fundamental inside him, the Matt Clark who emerges from that facility will be infinitely more dangerous than the one who went in. The hypothetical aftermath of a successful breakout presents a terrifying scenario for the residents of Genoa City, particularly for Phyllis Summers. If Matt and Patty manage to shatter the security protocols and vanish into the night, Matt's first instinct will undoubtedly be to seek out the woman he believes has been fighting for him on the outside. He will navigate the shadows, driven by a twisted sense of loyalty and a desperate need to explain his sudden absence. However, he will be returning not as the man attempting to reform, but as a hardened, vengeful fugitive whose darkest instincts have been fully unleashed. The collision between Matt's resurrected villainy and Phyllis's carefully maintained facade will create an explosive dynamic, threatening to expose the entire conspiracy she has built with Victor. Upon securing his freedom, Matt will face a critical, life-altering crossroads. He must choose whether to flee the jurisdiction, attempting to outrun Victor's extensive reach and the relentless pursuit of law enforcement, or to remain in Genoa City and wage a catastrophic war of retribution. Fleeing offers survival, but staying offers the intoxicating prospect of revenge. Given the psychological regression he is experiencing within the asylum walls, the allure of vengeance may prove too powerful to resist. He knows the secrets of the Newman Empire, he understands the vulnerabilities of the Abbott family, and he possesses the ruthless capacity to exploit them all. If he chooses to stay, he will not be a pawn in Victor's game. He will be a rogue agent of absolute destruction, targeting anyone who stands in his path. This impending reality forces a terrifying realization upon both Phyllis and Victor. In their arrogance, they believe they could perfectly control a man whose entire existence is defined by chaos. Victor assumed the psychiatric facility would keep Matt docile until needed, while Phyllis assumed her theatrical public outrage would provide a permanent shield against scrutiny. They failed to account for the unpredictable chemistry of placing Matt in the same cage as Patty Williams. They thought they were managing a strategic asset, but in reality, they have incubated a monster. If Matt discovers that Phyllis's frantic public displays were nothing more than a calculated performance orchestrated by his captor Victor, the betrayal will sever his last remaining tether to humanity, turning his lethal focus directly onto the woman he once loved. As the ticking clock of their escape plan nears its final hour, the tension within the facility reaches a fever pitch. Matt and Patty move with a synchronized, chilling purpose, exploiting a momentary lapse in the guard rotation to initiate their violent exodus. Sirens will soon wail into the night, shattering the fragile peace of Genoa City and signaling the release of two of its most dangerous nightmares. The carefully laid, multi-tiered plans of Victor Newman and the brilliant, deceptive performances of Phyllis Summers are about to be blown apart by pure, unadulterated chaos. With the asylum doors breached and a resurrected villain stepping back into the free world, a dangerous turning point has been reached. The question is no longer if Matt Clark will strike, but who will be the first to fall when his wrath is finally unleashed upon the city that tried to bury him.